They told us to give a disclaimer. The views expressed on this podcast are those of the podcasters, any guests, and do not reflect any of the management, owners, sponsorships, or employees of thereof. Pretty much, if you're soft, don't listen to this podcast.
One thing I pride myself on is just being the same and trying to look out for my folks along the way.
Like, even with all these, big things happening, like, you still mad humble, and you still, like, you have enough clout now where you could easily be like, I'm not fucking with this, I'm not fucking with that.
Oh yeah, motherfuckers, it's on.
Unrestricted podcast listeners, thank you so much for clicking play. Because those numbers are going up, and up, especially the YouTube gang. Man, we just hit over a 500,000 views on YouTube. We are crushing it, and it's all because of you. Today, I got a very special guest on the other side of me, somebody that I've known for a very long time, somebody that has grown in a very special way. I got my homegirl, I call her Jazzy, but Jasmariah, new last name, new to me, Swenson. How long have you been married?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Married, 3 beautiful children, most recently twins.
Yeah.
And you added author to your title. Mm-hmm. Talk to me a little bit about this Vulnerable with Me book that you have.
Vulnerable with Me is a book that I feel like my younger self wanted to be an author so bad. But when you're younger, you're thinking about, well, what's going to make me money and stuff. And you're like, well, I can't be an author because is that going to bring in money? So I never thought of it as like, I'm going to get here and be an author. And it was like always on the back burner. Didn't really share my writing because I did share it in high school with like boys that I liked, and it was not received well or how I wanted. So I was always scared to share with people. And then this year I shared poetry, and then just seeing how people received it, whether it was like crying or thank you for giving me a voice or just people resonating and not feeling alone, that fueled me to want to put this book out there because I felt not alone.
How do you get to the point where you're like, forget it, I'm going to just do it. I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to throw out my trauma, my life. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get a lot of questions about this book, about what's in here. How do you get to that point to get the courage to do that?
I think it's just security within myself. It was like I had to build myself up and build the home within myself, because no matter what anyone is going to say about me being vulnerable and sharing my truth, it doesn't matter. It's not your life. It's not your truth. So whatever you have, if it's criticism or whatever, that's a you problem. Mm. And I'm just sharing me, and now I just feel free.
I like it. What's the process of making a book?
It's a lot. So luckily for me, I had a friend, Bree Smith, and she was already self-published. So she was the person that I relied on if I had questions. Amazon makes it really easy for you to self-publish on there. And it's they just have it like a website, and then your book sells on Amazon and everything. So you have to come up with the format, you come up with the book cover. I hired someone to do my book cover because I'm not artistic in that way. So it's just a long learning process. Like now I know things for my next book where I'm like, okay, I know I'm going to do this differently or something like that.
Mm. So I looked inside a little bit, and are these poems?
Yeah.
So a lot of poems about your life, about you being vulnerable, about dark moments in life. Are these recent poems, or are these things that you've had you shared with the boys when you were in high school?
There is one in there of like from 16-year-old Jazzy. So there are poems that just range from me being a teenager and me writing recently about like how I felt maybe when I was like 12 years old. So just giving a voice to all of these versions of myself and then just setting her free. Mm.
You're a wife and you're a mother as well. Mm-hmm. How do you have time to publish a book?
I would say a good support system. So my husband, if I needed to step away to write, very understanding, takes on the kids and everything like that. So I'm kind of lucky in that way.
What's the family think about the book?
The family?
Yeah, the family back in Cali. And
I don't know yet. I have received, so some people got their book on Friday and then some people are getting it today. And every time someone tells me that they get their book, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're going to know everything about me. But just knowing that I am putting myself out there and I'm ready for that. And then I've gotten like, I have questions, I need answers. Or some people just, they have felt so free reading it. And that's the best.
Yeah, when you can inspire somebody, right? Because I think when we, part of the reason why I wanted to start a podcast was to tell my truth and my experiences. And with that, I've noticed that other people are comfortable with doing the same.
Yeah.
And it motivates them to do the same, right? And so I can only imagine, doing a book can bring so much more power to others to do the same.
Yeah.
I want to backtrack a lot a bit. You grew up in Cali?
Yes.
Now I know you, but I don't really know you. How many family members you have?
A lot.
Immediate.
So I grew up with 6 brothers and sisters, and it's just like a long list of just my parents took in kids. They loved to like adopt kids and like help people. And then the way that we grew up, it was like a family to a room. My parents would, mostly my mom's family would come from Samoa, and then they would start out at our house until they were ready to like go out into the world.
That's I don't want to say traditional, but that's something that in Polynesian culture,
Yeah.
let's get everybody on the right foot, right? Let's start everybody off on the right foot. Come over here, get yourself established, and then go do your thing.
Yeah.
So a big household. Did you ever have? Was it taboo to be vulnerable to family? Did you talk
Yes.
about feelings and stuff like that?
No, it was never okay that I felt to like talk about your feelings, especially in a big household. You can feel so small. And so at a young age, I was all of a sudden shy, like in front of other people because I felt shy at home. But I'm actually not a shy person. If you get to know me, like I'm very extroverted and I love connecting with people and stuff like that.
Were you the only one like that in the fam?
I don't know. So this year through all of my healing is the most that I've like connected with my parents and my siblings throughout our whole life. And it's been really beautiful to see the shift in my parents the most and to just feel their accountability and understand their story, because growing up you think, oh, those are just my parents and this is what they did to me. But it's like, well, why did they do that to you and what happened to them? And they have a story too. So they deserve the same compassion.
Have you had story or talked to your parents about who they were before becoming parents?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we forget that our parents had a life before us.
Right.
Right? Your parents were 30 at one point. Your parents were 16 at one point.
Yeah.
Have you had those kind of conversations?
Yeah. My mom, I feel like, is just a little closed off more than my dad. Not necessarily closed off, but she says that her life was more like on the easy side. And then my dad, I learned the most about him in the past like 2 months than I ever have his whole life. I just started asking him questions. And before I asked him questions, I was like, hey, can I ask you questions? Like, I just want to know about your life. And I have my notebook and I'm taking notes because I want like the kids to know these things about their grandpa when they get older too.
Yeah. Was there anything that he answered with that surprised you?
Yeah, I didn't know. So my dad is a Saints fan, hardcore. And I didn't know that like the reason he's a Saints fan is because he was drafted into the U.S. Army in the 70s. And at that time, he was playing football for a college, I forgot where, but he had to leave that, go to the Army, and then his first base was in Louisiana, and he said the Saints sucked back then, so he would always go to the games for free, and that's how he became a Saints fan. I was also surprised, so he moved from American Samoa to Compton, California when he was 9 years old, and I was surprised to hear he's like, when I was there, it was a beautiful, like, farmland. And he's like, there were a lot of white people there, too. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. Because you didn't, I mean, you think about Compton, you don't think about suburb.
Right.
Right? You don't think about country.
Because I grew up in Linwood. That's where they bought a house, and that's like right next to Compton. And I grew up in a way different time than he did back then.
Is mom originally from Samoa too?
She's from Samoa too, and then she moved to Compton, and they didn't know each other at this time, but she moved there, I want to say in the late 70s or maybe in the 80s. I forgot, but yeah.
Your parents are older.
Yeah, my dad turned 70 next year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I always remember a viral photo of your dad.
Yes. Whenever people ask, I always show that photo, and it's just like, it says, girls be like, my dad can't wait to meet you.
Yeah.
And I learned his story with that photo. He said he was just playing basketball on the islands, and then these people approached him, and they were like, hey, can you pose with this club? And he was like, what? And he's built back then.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, what do I get out of it? And they're like, you get to be famous. And he didn't think anything of it. So he's like, they were like, just pose with it and pretend like you're going to hit someone with it. And it was an ad to stop people from littering. And he said it was like, stop littering or else.
Oh, man. That photo turned out so much more different.
Yeah.
If I'm Bo, I'd be scared.
I know.
That's your dad? Oh, man. So is family still in California? Or still living?
I have a lot of family still in California. My parents are in Samoa, so they moved there in 2012.
Oh, okay.
And that's when I moved to Utah.
Yeah. So, you got family here. How was you used to play volleyball, right? Mm-hmm. At what point did you have like dreams that you wanted to be a volleyball star and go like support the Olympics or anything like that?
No.
What did Jazzy want to be when she was growing up?
Jazzy wanted to be a writer.
That's
like I wanted to write poetry and I wanted to be a writer. That's what brings me joy. And when I'm really lucky with writing, it just basically comes to me. And then I just have to put it down on paper or in my notepad in my phone. But I never sit there and I'm like, all right, I'm going to write a poem about this.
Do you ever think about writing different styles? Like, do you want to write fictional, like novels?
Yeah, so I want to do so my next novel that I want to work on is something of the line, like along the lines of sharing my story, but then also like having little things in there to help me connect with the reader more.
I mean, I think life stories can be relatable, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's something that you can definitely accomplish.
Oh yeah,
especially now being a mom, mm-hmm. right? You have your stories. The way that it started, obviously, is a lot different now.
Yeah,
you have a lot of life experience to share. Mm-hmm. How was finding out that you were going to be a mother at such a young age?
Yeah,
how was that?
Oh, that was hard. Because my parents, they just moved back to Samoa, and my dad is the chief of our village. I don't know if you know that part too, but it was just not common for the chief's daughter to get pregnant so young, and then also out of wedlock. So that was so hard. Like I think back to both of the memories when I had to tell my mom. And then I had to drive to Cali. My dad was still working to save up money for Samoa. So I had to drive there to tell him in person. And I was so scared. And it was hard. My family did not take it well. And it was a lonely pregnancy. As you know, like Christian's dad, he has his own traumas. And yeah.
I remember it being a tough time, and mm-hmm. I mean, you were young, and you were in a state with no family, really.
Yeah.
I mean, we were friends, we were like family, but it's different, right? And I can mm-hmm. only imagine your parents and your family feeling some type of disappointment.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot. That's heavy.
Uh-huh.
Now, fast forward 8 years, 9 years,
like 9
years,
9.
And you have twins. Mm-hmm. You find your husband.
Yeah.
A lot different situation. Uh-huh. Take me through that. Take me through. How did you even meet your husband?
We met on Tinder.
Oh my gosh. You dirty son of a bitch. Damn, Bo. I instantly just blame him.
I know.
So you meet online. You're online dating. I've never done that before, so I might be out of line here. But isn't Tinder just like a hooking up website? Are you actually
Some people use it for that, and like the things that I would get on Tinder would be wild. That like some men have the audacity to say these things or to send you pictures or right off the bat. It's like wild.
Gotta have some game. Guys lost the game touch, right?
They never had it.
Nah, chill. All right? I had a lot of. I met Tressa in person. I swept her.
I remember.
Yeah, no internet dating. Just a lot of wordplay.
I remember your story too of when you met Tressa.
Oh yeah, it's a lot.
You met her, you're like, I'm done.
We'll save it for your podcast when I come on to yours.
All right, yeah.
So you meet your husband, Bo, and how long after that do you guys actually have two babies?
Like 5 years.
Wow. Were you guys married already?
Yeah.
So you were married before you guys had the twins. So take me through finding out, like, knowing that you were gonna marry this man.
I knew that I was going to marry him so we had like a little break and then he came back, and it was a funny story. He's like, I'm going to come and get my pillow. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And I was in such a trauma response that I was like, this guy's too good to be true. That's not how love works. Like, there's no way. So I was like, I just don't want to even put myself through this. So I was like trying to just push him away, like, no. And then when he came back, I just have this image of him like walking out of my room and then being by the door, and he's like, before I leave, and then he just like lays into me, and I'm just like, oh shit. And I had never had someone like fight for me like that and just call me out like on my shit. And it wasn't like even to be malicious. It was like, this is what you're doing and like all this stuff. And in that moment, I was like, wow, I don't want to lose this person. Like, I really feel like this is my person.
So you obviously you're in a healing journey, right? You've been through a lot. Is this a point where you're enlightened on your own trauma? Are you enlightened on your own mental health and things like that?
Yeah.
So you're able to receive it a little bit better, huh? Okay.
There's like more self-awareness in me where I notice things and I'm like, wait, why am I acting like that? Or a big thing for me is like this past year, I've lost 30 pounds. And it's just the awareness like of what my relationship was with food. Like, you know me, I was always snacking, always had the chips, always had everything.
Oh yeah. Anytime we converse, it's like, let's get some food.
Yeah. My friend always is like laughing because one time we're in the club and I have my purse and I pull out my fruit snacks and I'm just eating them on the dance floor. No shame. But it's just like food was like always there for me. So like I always used food as like a comfort thing. Or like, I know this isn't good for me, like hot fries or hot Cheetos, but I'm still going to eat it because it felt good, like for my soul in that moment. But then healing around that and just noticing that I need to be good to my body if I want it to be good to me, especially with all the health stuff that I've been going through.
Yeah. So I want to jump into that too, by the way. So you guys work it out. You're like, hey, I have been a brat.
Yeah.
Let me get my act together. When do you find out that you're pregnant?
We found out right before Christmas in 2021.
Pandemic. You find out that you're pregnant. Mm-hmm. When do you find out that it's twins? Is it at an ultrasound? Like,
yeah,
obviously, right?
My January ultrasound. I was so convinced that it was a girl because I was so nauseous. And my pregnancy with Christian, you know me, like it was so easy. I was out doing stuff and like nothing. And I was like, oh, it's a girl. I'm so sick. And then I was telling the doctor, I was like, I think it's a girl because I'm so nauseous. And she's like, and tell me more of what you're feeling. And I'm like, I can't eat and like all this stuff I'm telling her. And then she's like, we usually don't do an ultrasound this early. So they did an ultrasound. And it was funny. I'm laying on the table and I'm like, oh, this is cool, you know. And she's like, oh, there's a baby. And then she moves and she's like, there goes another baby. And I look and I'm like, what? And then I remember seeing 2 like sacks on the ultrasound screen. And I'm just like, laughing on the table because this cannot be real life.
Wow. Twins.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that makes me so nervous for you.
Yeah, and everyone always freaks out because I'm like, twins don't really run in our family like that, but the doctor is like, just so that you know, women after the age of 25 start dropping multiple eggs. And every time I tell like people that, they're always like, we're done.
Yeah. Oh, I knew I was done after Anaya. And yeah, so she'll have Tressa will be holding a baby. Like, come on, one more. And I'm like, and that baby starts crying. I'm like, no.
Never mind.
Nope. So how old are the babies now?
They're 1.
1 year old. Are they both boys?
Yeah.
Both boys, 1 year old. Christian's 10. You're married, got a house. A lot different from when I first met you.
Yeah, party girl.
Yeah, you were in your party phase. Yeah. You were young, dumb, and out here.
And broke. Young, dumb, and broke.
Oh man, but I love driving your car.
I still remember your caddy.
Oh yeah.
When you got pulled over that one time.
Oh yeah.
And then you came into work, you're all pissed.
Oh yeah. A lot of people don't. I had that caddy for a short, hot moment. A lot of people, every time I'm like, yeah, I had a caddy, a 6'4" on 22s, chromed out. Oh, champagne. It was nice. Yeah, that was definitely a cop trap. Yeah. So then you decide to put your stories in a book. When we read this, what should we expect?
I think basically what the title is, like, you're going to be vulnerable with me, and I'm really excited to hear people's favorite poem, like if they resonate. Like, I genuinely want to hear from people, and just I want to give people the freedom to free themselves the way that I have freed mine. So you're going to just go through my life basically. You're going to know the deepest things about me.
Did you go through therapy?
I did, for a short period.
And how was your therapy experience?
It was good and bad, I'm going to say, just because now that I went to therapy in 2018, and she did help me through some stuff, but I feel like there's some things in therapy where they're so by the book, and sometimes it feels like you're kind of just another person. So I don't know. To me, there's different ways of healing, and everyone is different.
What is your way of healing?
I've found a community, and healing through belonging is what has helped me, is like sharing your stories and then connecting with people, finding that connection, and then just creating lifelong friendships.
Do you have when you talk about community, do you have like a message board that you talk to, or like physical friends here in Utah? Yeah,
just physical friends here in Utah, like real people that care about you and that you get to care about them back. Because sometimes I feel like, especially now at this day and age, you have people who aren't genuine. Like, they want your friendship because they want your business. And they're asking how you're doing just to follow up with a favor or something. And I wrote a poem in my book about it where it's like, it's consumerism. It's not friendship. Like, let's be real on what it is.
Yeah. The friend title is one that is, I want you to hold it tight. Hold that friend title tight. The same way that you hold family member tight, right? Like, you get to see who's down when shit gets tough.
Yeah.
I literally just had this conversation where it's like, if I'm in the club and I get into a scuffle, are you running down the street? Are you either fighting with me or getting our ass whooped together? Like, that's how I know.
Yeah.
You know, when things pop off, if I'm having a mental breakdown, are you not answering my calls, or are you calling me? You know what I mean? Or however it is, you get to really know who your friends are and who the people are that want to see you win. With this book, I mean, it's so new. You're very, very new in this.
1 week.
Do you have plans on maybe going on tour? Do you want to go to, different places to showcase it, to talk about it?
That would be cool. I would love to go to California just because I have so many friends and family out there. So I'd love to have that opportunity to connect with them in person about the book. And then I'm having my own little event on my birthday. And it's just a way for me to end my 20s. Like on my actual 30th birthday, I'm having like a book release party, and I'm calling it 30 Flirty and Writing.
Ooh, okay. That's dope. You should have people do their own poem.
Yeah.
Be like, yo, what's a do you want to recite a poem for us?
All right.
Something in there, maybe not too heavy, because this my podcast is about happy.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really cool to see you tour this thing. Mm-hmm. Go on a coffee, get a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Tell the people about it. Have your books there for people to purchase. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it'll be really cool.
That's the dream. So I'm gonna pick the one that I wrote about my dad. So, my father let me see him cry. This has only happened a handful of times. He weeps deep regret for missing out on little moments. My father lets me see him cry. As he shares his story, I understand his life. All he knows is sacrifice. My father and I cry. He listens to my story and begins to understand what I need. It's not about material things, just his unconditional love for me. My father lets me hold his hand when he cries. Forever daddy's little girl, even though I'm 29. As we grow closer together, it's my turn to be his protector.
Oh, that's tough. Pops is learning himself, right? Pops is learning that what his daughter needs. Mm-hmm. I love that. I feel like as a father, that hits a little different, right?
Yeah.
Because as a father, I do want time with my kids. Mm-hmm. But also daddy has to sacrifice time because daddy's his own person too.
Right.
And daddy needs to sacrifice time to get you a house.
Right.
A savings. This world is fucking crazy. Mm-hmm. We don't know how this thing's going to work out with Ukraine and Russia and China. We don't know what supplies are going to be cut off from us.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that we have to prepare for. And so when I hear that story and about that poem, it resonates with me as a father.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I was telling Bo this when I read it to him. I'm like, there's a mother's love, and like a mother's love is very deep. It's very intuition based, like mother's instincts and stuff. But there's something about a father's love where it's just safety, protector. Like if you need anything, like the father is down for anything. Like I know that if someone came at any of your kids, you're ready.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And you're teaching that. Like you see that in Tavy. He's such a sweet boy.
Oh yeah. That boy is something special. He's just a solid kid. He's just a solid kid. And now I have to do that with two more. I have to build up Amari, but I got to build Amari up. I don't want to say the same way I built up Tavy because I was a different human at that point.
Right.
I've learned a lot through Tavy. And I feel like us being parents, we're constantly learning.
Yeah, especially your oldest. It's like with your oldest, you're learning so much with them, and they're kind of growing with you, especially if you grew up with them at a young age. Mm-hmm. So sometimes there's also like some like guilt there where it's like, I'm going to be a better mom to like the twins, and it makes me feel bad for Christian. But then I can go back still and like take accountability, like, hey, did this hurt you? Maybe the way that I mothered you when I was learning. But I think as parents, we forget that like our kids are people too, and they deserve the same accountability that we want from our parents.
Mm-hmm. Parenting. Do you want more?
It's a lot. No, we're done.
You done?
Yeah.
I feel you. My wife is like, go get the snip. I just gotta go do it. I'm not scared or anything. I just gotta go do it.
Go get it done. You're scared.
No. It's just a little pinch. That's it. A little pinch and it's over.
A little pinch.
So 30, flirty, and writing. Mm-hmm. Are you still flirty?
Yeah, I'm flirting with all my goals.
There you go. What else do you have on the bucket list? What else do you want to accomplish?
So I feel like right now I'm living ready, and I'm just getting opportunities. Like one of my friends, she hit me up and she saying sweet things to me, and she asked me if I can be like her mentor. And I'm like, oh wow, like me, And so I'm going to start mentoring her. And some people have asked me like, hey, like, can you teach me how to write? And there's a way that I write where I'm open to teaching people, but it's just like feeling your own feelings and like being in your body and being in your heart and like just being open to whatever your intuition is like ready to tell you and whatever you're ready to release.
Have you done any of the, the ayahuascas and the hape psychedelic journey?
I have done hape one time. I've never done ayahuasca. But with all of that, I actually can't do any of the psychedelics.
What?
With my heart condition. There aren't enough studies to show like how it affects the blood pressure because my situation is so rare. So I did ask my doctor, I'm like, so when can I start taking psychedelics? And she's like, you shouldn't be doing that. And I'm like, well, it's for healing because it really is. Like if you've done any of these things, you know that it opens your heart and stuff like that. So I'm like, well, what about this? I know. I was already heart open. I had a whole awakening. But yeah, she's like, no, it's not a good idea medically. So I'm trying to be here for a minute, so I'm not even going to mess with it.
So take me through the heart condition. When do you find out that you have a rare condition, and what was the process of correcting?
Yeah, so I always think back to what Bo's mom, my mother-in-law, wrote on my GoFundMe, and we found out a few days before the twins' first birthday party. And that was hard because I went to my appointment and I didn't think it was going to be a hard appointment. And
let's backtrack a little bit. Yeah. Why do you have an appointment? What triggered you to go get an appointment?
So I was having chest pain and I got my gallbladder out last year. So they did an echocardiogram, which is the ultrasound of the heart. And then I was going to this appointment to go over my results. So met with the cardiologist and he's telling me that I have an aneurysm. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, what does that mean? And he's going through all these details. He's like, touches me and he's like, I'm so sorry, And I'm like, oh, the doctors are telling me sorry. And this is such a common thing now that like when I hear it, I'm always like, that means it's really hard. So he's telling me that I need to go have tested because they don't know why someone at 29 has an aneurysm on her. So it was my aorta, and that's the right where it connects to your heart, your aortic root. So I did genetic testing, found out I had a gene mutation. And yeah, so that was just a few days before the twins' birthday party. Right after the appointment, I go dance practice with my sister, carry on the party like nothing happened. And then in the beginning of October, he calls me and tells me that I need to have the surgery within the next month. And I'm like, oh. And he's like, and I think you need to go to Texas because nobody in Utah, like the one that I was doing, saved my valve. So I didn't have to get like a mechanical valve or like a pig tissue valve. So I'm not on blood thinners for the rest of my life.
Wow. So you take me through the journey of going to Texas.
Yeah. So I didn't know that the day that I was going to have my surgery until the previous week. They called me and they're like, we're scheduling you on Friday. You got to come out here next week. I had to do like another procedure to check on my blood vessels before the surgery. And it's just a hard surgery because the pain medications don't really like touch me. So then it's like the opioids, I think. And so they had to give me something else and I felt crazy. And I didn't know that like this was one of the side effects.
What do you mean by crazy?
Like so the doctor came in and he's like, hey, try not to take this one too much. It was one where you press the button.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, they told me to press it every 15 minutes. And he's like, oh, don't do that. You'll start hearing stuff. And I was like, thinking back, I was like, oh shit. Like I thought that I was having a conversation with Bo and my eyes are closed. And then I opened my eyes and no one is there.
Holy shit.
And I was like, I don't like this. And I felt, honestly, I was thinking about, okay, I'm in so much pain right now. I'm so uncomfortable. I was like, maybe I'm not going to make it. Those were the thoughts that were going through my head. And right when I realized that it was a side effect of this drug, I was like, I'm done. Cut me off.
While you're in the bed. Mm-hmm. Are you, so who goes to Texas? Do you have anybody in Texas with you during this time?
Yeah. So Bo came out with me, and then my cousin Carlene.
I remember Carlene.
Yeah. She came out there for a few days to be with us.
So day of surgery, what's your thought? Are you nervous? Are you scared?
I'm just ready. Like, they were coming in and they're like, are you ready? And I'm just like, are you ready? Because you're the one that's going to operate. So if you're ready, like, I'm ready.
Yeah,
I'm
just
here.
gotta lay there,
yeah.
So did they put you under? Mm-hmm. Okay. My dad had his he had a triple bypass.
Oh, okay.
And when he woke up, he was elevated, but he had all the tubes in him.
Yes.
Oh, that was such a scary sight. I could only imagine. Like, that's how she was. Oh man, it's
I
heartbreaking.
posted a picture too of like, I have all these wires like around my face and like my neck. There's a scar where the thing was in there.
Did everything go good?
Yeah.
No issues?
I had a little bit of bleeding, but they were able to control it. So I was out on bypass and my heart was stopped for 162 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
So it's such a crazy thought to think about.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But I woke up with so much clarity. Like, I feel like I had literally like an awakening. And I was like clear, like, this is what I'm doing with my book. This is what I'm going to do next. I woke up and asked for pen and paper so that I can write a poem. And that poem is in my book. So that's cool too.
The first poem after you wake up. Mm-hmm. Wow. You got to get the book. Vulnerable with me, Jasmariah Swenson. Mm-hmm. I'm Amazon.
Yep.
Yeah, I found it. I got it. It's coming. It's in the mail. Now, when they do the surgery, they close you up. Mm-hmm. You're feeling clarity. How are you feeling today?
Today, I'm still tired. So they're having me start cardiac rehab just because my body, with all of my autoimmune issues, like, heals differently. But for the most part, I'm feeling good. Like, when people would ask me, I'm like, physically, I'm tired. But mentally and emotionally, like, I'm so pumped. Mm.
Are you any restrictions? Can you go work out?
No. So with me, I have an interesting situation. So I had to stop taking a medication they had me taking that lowers your heart rate and your blood pressure because I already have low blood pressure. And people with like my gene mutation and my situation, they get aneurysms when they have high blood pressure, which I've never dealt with. So we don't know like how exactly mine came to be. The biggest guess that they have is when I delivered the twins, because that was a very traumatic delivery. So they think that it could be from there.
Wow. Oh man. What's the actual condition called?
So I had an aortic root aneurysm, and then my gene mutation is ACTA2.
Does any of this pass on to your kids, possibly?
I hope not. It does. So they have a 50% chance of getting it, and we're getting them tested. So I'm hoping that they don't have it, but if we do know early, then that does help.
Is this something that grows as you become an adult, or was this something? Have you ever had chest pain when you were a kid? Did you ever notice anything?
No.
Just one day you just started feeling it. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah. So my aortic root, before they operated, it was 5.2 centimeters in diameter. And now I did my echo and I thought it was so crazy. It was 2.7. So it shrunk almost in half, and that's what size it should be. So I'm super lucky because scientifically I shouldn't be here.
Damn. What if you're not? What if the drugs, like you're...
Right. There's really good drugs then.
And what if this is all a dream?
It could be because I have a book.
Do you ever think about that though? Like
Matrix?
Like sometimes I think about that.
Inception.
I'm like, you go to sleep, you wake up. How do you know this shit's real?
Yeah.
Like you feel stuff. Uh-huh. You don't really... I don't know. I think about that all the time. Where I'm like,
yeah.
What happens when the lights are off permanently? Uh-huh. Like, do you still... Are you here? Are you not here?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I was in a different dimension.
Did you have any dreams when you were out?
Not that I can think of.
I remember when I first woke up after my back surgery, they took the tube out when I woke up. So I didn't have it in me when I woke up. But when I woke up, I couldn't move because of my back. So I was like, felt like I was part of the bed. And I'm waking up in the room where you wake up, and I look over and I'm like talking. I sound like DMX. I'm like, yo, nurse. Where am I at? And she's willing me. She's bumping into everything. I'm like, damn. Can you be
relax?
Like, yeah, a little calmer. So you had the hospital was good though. Mm-hmm. No issues with nurses.
No. There was one nurse where like they were gonna take blood and they wanted to poke me again. I'm like, well, why don't you use the thing that's already here? And they were confused. And then I was like, am I gonna have that nurse again? I asked them, and they were like, oh, why? And I'm like, I just don't want this one. And they were like, oh, okay, they're a floater. And I was like, yeah, don't give me a floater.
Yeah, float her out the door.
Yeah.
So good experience in Texas. Did you get a chance to, have you ever been to Texas?
No, and I never want to go back.
No?
No.
That's a not good experience. I mean, obviously it was traumatic what you went through.
Yeah, there were some good food spots, but I don't know. There's a smell out there, and people from Texas are probably going to hate me, but like there's a smell out there and I don't like it.
I mean, this coming from somebody that lives in Tooele, Utah.
Oh yeah,
That's
there's a smell
crazy.
out there too. I keep my windows closed. Whenever I'm on the way anywhere, I'm like, keep my window up before I go over there, and I smell like Tooele. We call it like when he comes in from mowing the lawn, I'm like, you smell like outside.
So what's the plan with the family? Do you guys want to do it? Do you have any goals in 2024? Obviously, you got the book. Are you guys gonna do like family vacations or anything like that?
So our plan is to surprise my dad for his 70th birthday and go to Samoa.
Hold on. Daddy might hear this. Now, do we want to say it on here?
It's fine.
Okay. So
He'll be happy either way.
You want to surprise Pops?
Yeah, and it'll be Bo's first time in Samoa, so he'll be able to see everything, and it's just nice. My parents have a really cool house in American Samoa, and when you go out on the balcony, you see the ocean. You see like the green, and it's beautiful.
And he's chief.
Yeah, he's the chief of our village.
What does the chief do?
Everything. So he has to okay, like if people want to do something to their house, he okays it. He takes like watches over people. He does a lot of stuff with the family, like does family events, and he's just the go-to person.
How much is that church base? Does him being the chief, does it have anything to do with the church, or is it
just family?
How many chiefs are on the island?
I don't know. But I don't know, like my dad, he is just, what's nice is I get to hear people talk about my dad. So then I get to understand the sacrifice. He had a family thing earlier this year, and our whole Moy family, like that was in Utah, not even our whole family, they took up the whole church. And when he was speaking, I just didn't understand like the sacrifice there. I'm like, why are my parents leaving me? I just graduated high school and I had like all this resentment towards them. And when they were leaving, I didn't understand it. And now I understand it because I see all of our family here that get to go and visit. I see our family in Samoa that like appreciate him being there and looking after him and our whole village. And it's just the bigger picture, you know. You always think that like, oh, my parents are leaving me, but why are they leaving me? Mm-hmm. So it's now I get it. Yeah.
It's a big one. Now, your parents being older, does a part of you want to be closer?
Yeah. This is the closest that I've ever felt to my parents.
Now, physically, though, do you ever want to just be like, hey, Bo, let's move out to Samoa?
No, it's not for me because they don't have hot water. So if my parents invested in like a water heater and I took a shower and I came out and I'm like, hey, your hot water is not working. Like I was in there for a minute and it wasn't working. And my mom laughs and she's like, you stupid girl, we don't have hot water. And I was like, oh, take me home.
What's a water heater?
Yeah.
Maybe you can gift them a water heater.
Yeah.
Do you really need hot water in Samoa? I'm assuming it's hot there, isn't it?
I do. It is hot. That's what she said. It's so humid out here. We don't need it. But I don't know. There's something, I need my hot showers.
Did you ever live in Samoa?
No.
So how long did you spend time in Samoa? Like,
So I went there when I was little for my dad's Salfa'i, and that's when it was like this whole ritual kind of thing of him being the next chief. But I don't remember it so well, and my eczema acted up, so I wasn't there.
always something with you.
It is, but I did have a cool experience. I got to go, and this lady, I like have this memory. I was like 5, and all I remember is like laying on this table in her backyard, and there's coconut smoking, and she's like, and I asked my mom this earlier this year. I was like, what was that? What were you guys doing? And she was like, it was the air from the coconut. Like, it helps go into your skin. And I was like, oh. But when I was 5, I'm laying there, and there's this lady chanting stuff with, like, coconut smoking.
Are you fluent
in Samoan? I feel like I understand better than I can speak because I grew up with my grandparents who didn't speak English. So I was fluent when I was younger, but I just don't use the language as much.
Not even to your kids?
Little words, yeah. Like when we say for them to throw something away in the trash, we're always like, la pisi. And then they go and they're like, pisi. And they'll go throw it away.
Afakasi. Does your family, when it's sometimes when you have two races, right? Obviously Christians half Mexican and there's some Caucasian in there too. Were they welcoming of you being outside the Samoan race?
I think my parents and my family always knew that I wasn't going to marry in my race because I have this belief that all Polynesians are related, especially all Samoans.
You always said that.
Yeah, so I never was like interested like that in my own race because I know down the line there's something, or like I've heard too many stories from cousins where it's like, oh yeah, that's Auntie Didada's son. And it's like, no, that's not going to happen to me.
Yeah. I wonder that too. I wonder that too. Down the line, if we're the same race, are we cousins somewhere?
Yeah.
So they didn't give you no pushback, nothing?
No.
That's good. That's good. How is it on the island? Is it just Samoans? Or?
Yeah. When Christian went to visit, they all called him Palangi, which is like white.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Damn. Guess he'll I mean, has he been he's been on the island?
Yeah, he's been there
twice.
He loves it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go just so I can experience it.
Yeah. Stay with the chief.
And chief with the chief?
Uh-huh.
Does the chief smoke weed?
No. I wish.
You know they call me
Dre. Probably be chill.
You know they call me Dre, the #1 chief rocker, right?
I've never heard the chief rocker part.
Yeah. That's what they call me.
Well, there you go.
Damn,
you could go have Sunday dinners.
Oh, with the chief?
Yeah, people from the village all like bring up dishes and stuff, and my dad, like the whole table is like filled with food.
Is that every day?
Every Sunday.
Dang.
But if my dad needs something done, like people in the village are like quick. Like they have built this whole guest house and stuff, and they're so talented. And I'm always like, dang, can I pay one of their fares and they can come like fix up my basement when I needed it? And my mom's like, yeah, but they need their visa. And I'm like, well, how do I do that? Because that's cheaper than me like paying someone out here. It's wild.
Does your dad, when's the last time your dad came out here?
He was just out here. He just left after Thanksgiving.
I wonder how he feels going from being the chief of his neighborhood over his, his area to being just another guy here in the States.
He loves it. He loves his grandkids. So for him to be able to be here, it's always a blessing.
I feel like it would be hard being so far away, having a daughter go through what you went through.
Yeah.
Living, right? And this is a forever thing now, right? And then having a book, like there's a lot to be proud of as a father.
Yeah.
And as a grandfather. But not being able to just go down the street and give you guys a hug or have dinner.
Yeah.
That could be tough.
I know it is really tough on him because for me, like my whole life, I've always been my dad's #1.
I wish Anaya would treat me like her #1. Oh, I'm second class citizen. Oh man, that little girl hates my guts. She loves her mom, but I told her and her mom are gonna butt heads
When she's older.
Oh, Tress is so hard headed that I already know. I was like, watch when she becomes that 11, 10, she's gonna be a daddy's girl because Tress is the hard ass in the family, you know, and she. I already know they're gonna butt heads.
Yeah, when they start pulling a you on you, it's like, whoa, whoa. Like Christian will start using my own phrases on me, and I'm like, I came up with this. You need to calm down.
How was it the holidays? How was the holidays with the
Good.
fam?
We spent most of our holidays with Bo's family, and then we got to see his grandma, she's 99 years old.
Oh dang!
Yeah, so that's a blessing.
Damn, 99 years old. What do you do at 99?
Well, she recently got sick, but usually she was like on the go, 20/20 vision, still driving, still cooking. Like, yeah, she was doing it all.
Do you think, no disrespect, Bo, do you think 99-year-old grandma still gets horny?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Because my grandma's about to be 90 years old on the 6th. And she's in an old folks home. And they say that the old folks home, they be getting busy in there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I was just thinking like, damn, old people, what do you do?
Well, what about you and your grandma? What do you think?
I think that she definitely gets horny, but I think that she gets frustrated because there's no alone time.
Oh.
Because she needs to have assistance, right?
Why are you thinking about that?
Because I think it's a human thought, right?
I've never thought about that.
You never think about that?
For a 90-year-old, no.
You don't think if the chief still gets booty at 70 years old?
I don't want to know about it.
Jasmariah, the book Vulnerable with Me is out now. Amazon.com. Are you going to do like a website? You going to have like social media?
I have a website.
Ooh, what's the website?
vulnerablewithme.com.
You got that website?
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. So I had that website, and that's where I was sharing all my medical journey stuff. Everyone that wanted an update, I would write about it in there. So, yeah.
And that's a golden website right there.
Yeah.
Hold on to that.
Oh, I will.
You can do merch, like you can do t-shirts and stuff.
Yeah, down the line, we want to start our own podcast, like just going along with the brand, Vulnerable with Me. I just want people to be vulnerable with me, and then I want to be vulnerable with other people. Like, let's all just be real. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, I'd love to have merch down the line. That would be amazing.
I was being vulnerable with my 99 sex question, but obviously you didn't want me to go that route. So I don't feel like you're honestly being vulnerable with me.
Well, you're not on that podcast yet.
Just play it. Jasmariah, anything we didn't hit that you want to touch?
I can't think of anything. The only thing is like I am writing a poetry book for my kids, so that's going to be fun. And it's just about being a parent. And yeah.
Has Christian found any interest in helping mom out with writing?
Yeah, he's my biggest cheerleader. He's such a hype man. He's always like, Mom, you look cute. Mom, this is your book. Like, he's always hyping me up.
That we were, Tressa, she was going through photos, and there's a photo of him, Tavian, and I think we were babysitting a dog at the time. And to see those little guys, I'm like, man. We're old.
Yeah.
We're old now.
It's crazy. Life happens so fast. So the only thing that like I give advice to people is like live your life. Like through this whole journey, it's taught me that life really is short and precious. And it's like we spend so much of our life with doubt. Like, no, I can't do that. Like, just do it.
Or worrying what people think.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Fuck it. We all go through, we experience the same emotions.
Exactly.
Right? Isn't that crazy? Like, we experience the same emotions, whether if it's fear, happiness, doubt, all of it.
Yeah.
The way that you were about to go and have surgery being anxious. I had the same feeling. Mm-hmm. Frustration with nurses. I had the same feeling.
Yeah.
But for some reason, we're scared to live the life that we want to live.
Right.
You're human. We all have blood running through us.
Yeah.
And we all have an expiration date. 99-year-old grandma she might just live longer than all of us, right? You don't know. You don't know how this journey ends. But what you can do today is fucking get off the couch and go get it. The guy that was in here before you, his name's Scott. He's a a rapper. He's a comedian. He does a lot of things. And one thing that he said that stuck with me is like, people just need to get off the couch. Just go and get it. If you are scared to write a book, you won't know the feeling. You won't get better unless you do it.
Yeah.
Right? This first book, the 10th book is going to be better than the first book.
100%.
Because you keep getting better. You have different life experiences. But it won't work unless you get off the couch and do the book.
Yeah.
So you just got to go out there and fucking get it. Don't worry about what people think.
Yep. Be you.
That's the next book. Be you.
Next title. Teaser.
All right, Jasmariah, you want to hit us with the socials where we can follow and all that good stuff?
Yeah. So I have my book where all of my brand stuff is going to be at Vulnerable with me. And then just Sweet Jasmariah, if you can spell it right.
There you go. Jazzy, it's fun catching up with you. Hopefully the listeners got a chance to get to know you a little bit better. Go get the book. Again, it's on Amazon. I got mine. This one right here, the copy you brought me said not for sale. Resale.
That's the author copy. You're special. The OG copy.
Need you to sign it. Yeah, go tap in with her. She any type of book signings or anything that she has going on is gonna be on your social media. So go tap in. Again, I appreciate you. Go run those numbers up on YouTube. Go be a part of the conversation. Drop a comment. You also can text in. You can call in as well. 385-240-4666 is the podcast number. Let me know what you thought about Jasmariah. If you have any questions for her, maybe you're somebody that has the same condition, or maybe a family member or something along the same realm. Let us know. And hope you guys have the day you deserve and protect your light. We out. Peace.
Get off the couch.